Everything is a matter of destiny. And by instinct, I found Tai Chi. My first teacher was Armenian, a lovely bloke, John Yalanesian. He was the senior student of Liang Dong Sai in America. Now, Liang Dong Sai, a student of Chung Man Ching, Professor Chung Man Ching, who was Dr. Chi's teacher and the teacher of many important Tai Chi people. He was an unbeaten boxer. He was the student of Yang Cheng Fu. Anyway, Liang Dong Sai eventually became 102 years of age, but I met him when he was 73. I was 31. Now, after a few years, eventually in 1974, life became so difficult. I was actually attacked with a gun. And, it was just too much. So I went to Taiwan. I arrived in Liang's home. And he wasn't home. He was out studying. He was into his Tai Chi, but also he studied meditation. He wanted to live forever. And he was with this Taoist meditation teacher in his 90s. He and I worked together for a month or so before he went back to America. And he introduced me then to Xie Chi Shung, my Bagua and Xingyi teacher, who was a student of Chen Wei-ming and a classmate of the Chinese emperor. And he used to teach me with a cigarette in his mouth. But I liked him a lot. He was very good. But Mrs. Liang and I became good friends. Couldn't speak a word of each other's language, but it didn't matter. And she said to me, I find you the best one, she said. And she found me Dr. Chi. I used to sleep in the afternoon. And the doorbell rang. And I said, oh, no. And then the telephone rang 2 seconds later. So I thought it was somebody, and I answered it on my on the telephone. It was Dr. Chi. He had knocked on the door, and he'd run across and telephoned immediately. So he caught me, and he took me to a kung fu show, and it was so incredibly boring. And he and I were totally bored out of our minds. And then he said, "You liked it?" No, I said, "Terrible." And he took me home. And he said, Wednesday. Now, what he meant by Wednesday, his son was just 5 minutes walk away, was going to come and collect me and bring me to him, which is what happened. And of course, he knew he had retired from Tai Chi because he got very sick. And he was dying, so they said. And his wife was Christian, and her friend came, and she said, "Pray to Jesus." He said, "But I don't believe." He says, "Pray anyway," she said. And how he put it was, I opened my heart, and Jesus came in. So his whole life was then taken up with Jesus. But he remembered his Tai Chi, because he had defeated 87 masters before he got sick. 87 masters in Taiwan. He beat everybody. And he taught me. And he asked me, after a while, you see, he brought other people to see if I wanted to study with them instead of him. But no, I wanted him. And I studied with him the rest of the time. I had studied with Wang Yanyan, the big teacher number 2 teacher of Master Liang. And with his 15 stone and everything, I pushed him backwards. They were all very, very surprised, including me. And I came back to England, and Dr. Chi came as well. Now, Dr. Chi made friends with Giovanni Panizzi, my other teacher, and my father. And they just connected together, click. And it was like they'd all focused in on me. And that was first time I met Dr. Chi was 74. And in 1982, he adopted me. But by that time, I had developed the Tai Chi he had taught me, and I actually defeated him by mistake. If I realized it was so important for him not to lose face, I wouldn't have done it. But I wanted to show him that I could yield going forward, you see, which is unusual. Like nobody does it. And I wanted to share that with my new father, you see. And instead it made a slight difficulty. But he went to Canada, to Vancouver. And I sent, about 40 of my students to him off and on, husband and wife, etc. And his comment was, all the women are better than all the men. And what he meant by that was that the caring, soft, listening quality that women have, men don't have generally. I mean, you can have it, but it's unusual. And that's what I had. And so that made me soft. I was actually softer than Dr. Chi. If you've got an unusual destiny, you're going to know that you do, that you're not quite the same as other people. Now, it doesn't make you better, but it actually does. You're different to them in a way that is useful. So all that intimacy Dr. Chi had with me, he tried to give to other people, but they couldn't take it. And they couldn't learn it, in other words, because in order to learn how I learned, I had to be busy. So in a way, I had my teaching in London in the medical centre, 7 Upper Wimpole Street. I had 22 classes a week and 400 students. Every year, there were 250 new students coming in and old students falling out. And it was a family.